What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is day one of the 7th annual 10 Days of Pumpkin here on the channel. To kick off the festivities, I am reviewing yet another beer from the Narragansett Brewing Company, and they are out of Providence, Rhode Island, and this is their Gourd Reaper, the 2024 release. So they're calling this one a pumpkin ale, and underneath that it says spiced amber ale with pumpkin. It comes in at 6.2% alcohol by volume, 26 IBUs at the time of review. And this can is approximately 3 months old. And I picked this one up at Halftime Beverage via halftimebeverage.com. So in the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that I picked up from Halftime Beverage. And this was the catalyst for the beer mail. And that's because up until recently, I had no idea this beer existed. So shout out to a friend of mine and fellow beer tuber, John, aka Anderson, over at Ginger Yeti Road Beers. He did a beer mail unboxing from Halftime Beverage. It had to be like 4 to 6 weeks ago. And I saw his unboxing. I was watching it. I saw this beer. I was like, I can't believe Narragansett released a pumpkin beer. What? So I went to the Halftime Beverage website. They still had it available, along with a bunch of other pumpkin beers that I'm reviewing during the 10 Days of Pumpkin, and a bunch of other beers because I picked up 20. I picked up 20, had to grab 20 of them. And I'm super excited that I saw Anderson's beer mail unboxing, because otherwise I would have had no idea this was even a thing. I've had Narragansett Lager, their Fresh Catch, their Shandies, but this is just wild to me that they released a pumpkin beer. And they don't say a whole lot about it on Instagram. They mentioned that this one is an English style ale, so I don't know if it's like a pale ale, an ESB, a bitter, whatever the case may be. They just call it a amber ale, and they say spice. They don't mention the spices, but they do brew this one with real pumpkin. I'm using my Bill Burr, Samuel Adams, Jack O, SNL skit glass, which has 3 different quotes from the skit, one of my favorite skits of all time, but it's absolutely hilarious, and being a beer nerd and whatnot, it's just a fantastic glass. You can't really see the beer all that great through it, but whatever. It's a beer review. It doesn't matter. Also, getting a little bit more festive, because I've never done this before in the prior years, but we got a little pumpkin here. It lights up and whatnot. Oh, it's so special. But I thought it'd be cool just to get a pumpkin, throw it out. It's 10 Days Pumpkin. Let's be a little festive. Anyway, I'm going to crack this one open, get in the glass. I just hope it's tasty. That's the way I look at it. So, yeah, anyway, I can't believe Narragansett has a pumpkin beer. I'm going to try to make sure this doesn't spill. Try to push down it so it's fucking... We'll see. Anyway, let's give it a pour. Ooh. It's definitely light. It's definitely amber. Generating a huge head. Nice. Anyway, we'll throw this over here. So I love this glass. As you can see, that quote, I won't say it. I swear a lot. I won't say it. This is the best one. Is today the day you can take a swing at your old man? Getting the generic cereal instead of the name brand, not going to fly. And then just a rambling one. This is the kind of beer that somebody brings to a party at your house, and it just sits in the fridge for like 8 months. It's just such a great skit. Like it is. And the funny thing is I reviewed that beer before I watched SNL back, I think it was like 2021 maybe. And I was so upset that I wasn't able to quote the skit because I reviewed it before I watched SNL. I was so upset about it, like so upset. Anyway, you guys don't care. You just care about what I think about this beer. Probably don't even care about that. Anyway, so yeah, it has a nice amber color. I would call that like a nice, deeper, darker, like a nice, I say honey orange color, but it's deeper than that. It's like a orange amber color. Good clarity to it. Hold up to light. There's a little bit of haze to it, but for the most part, you can see my hand through it. Decent carbonation. Has about just over 2 fingers of this, I would say, light beige colored head. Really nice head though. Sticking around, looks really creamy. For a second, it looks soap sudsy, but now there's just it looks like frothy in the middle of it. But yeah, it looks fantastic. I think it's an awesome looking beer, even if you can't see half of it because of the glass. Anyway, let's get nose. Yeah, it smells nice. It's not overly spiced. And I'm getting some of the malts. So first thing that hits the nose for me is I'm getting like a cinnamon, nutmeg, kind of ginger-esque kind of definitely nutmeg and cinnamon. But there's a little bit of like a ginger and a clove perhaps. Has like that sharp, spicy kind of ginger clove thing. But underneath that, I'm getting biscuity like malt. It doesn't necessarily like, this in the nose, it doesn't smell like pumpkin pie. It smells like a nice, well-constructed base beer with a bit of like pumpkin pie spice scattered throughout. But yeah, biscuity, a little bit of caramel. Yeah, biscuity, bready caramel. Maybe a touch of like a brown sugar. This is 6.2% too. If I would have thought Narragansett releasing a pumpkin beer based on their portfolio and the beers they release, I would have said it would be definitely sub 6% and probably in like that 4.5 to 5 range, but they went balls to the wall. Yeah, I think I appreciate the subtle kind of character to this one. The nose, I'm definitely picking up on those spice characters, but it's not over the top. There's a biscuity, bready kind of thing going on. There's a touch of an earthiness, probably from the pumpkin, although, you know, people say, oh, I can taste the pumpkin and this and that. Listen, I've reviewed a lot of different pumpkin beers, and I can probably count on one hand, maybe two, the amount of actually tasted pumpkin in a beer. For the most part, pumpkin adds a nice body and mouthfeel. It adds a little bit more heft and viscosity to the beer, but also gives you a little bit more of that smooth kind of creamy sensation. It's very rare I pick up on actual pumpkin, like, you know, the guts of a pumpkin or even like a pumpkin seed. More often than not, it's for the body and mouthfeel. It's the spice character that people start thinking about pumpkin beers. And I would say in this one, I get a little bit of like an earthy kind of like breadiness. Yeah, like just why I went back there. Definitely like an earthiness, so maybe the pumpkin is adding some characteristics here aroma-wise. Yeah, it smells really good. For what it is, it smells pretty good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Day one. I love it. I love this time of year. Cheers. You know what this is? This is a very sessionable pumpkin ale. And what I mean by that is, I was mentioning the nose, there is huge subtleties to the flavor of this one. The spice is definitely recognizable. You notice it. It's just not over the top like some pumpkin beers. A lot of the pumpkin beers I don't enjoy are heavily spiced, maybe with one specific spice, just over the top. This one doesn't have that problem, although it might have the problem on the other end of the spectrum where maybe I want a little bit more spice. 6.2%, it's like medium, maybe a touch under. So I think that's appropriate for the ABV. The mouthfeel. It has a mild to moderate carbonation, more approaching moderate, but it does have a smoothness to it. A little bit of a creamy sensation, but more smooth than anything. Body and mouthfeel are fine. I'm going to pour the rest in here. So, forefront. I can see why... Oh, hang on. I just wanted to make sure it didn't go everywhere. Lively, pouring the rest in there, lively. I can see why they went with a English style ale base, because it definitely drinks like one. This definitely was reminiscent of like an English bitter, ESB, pale ale. More I'd say ESB or bitter, because it has a big biscuity, bready kind of malt note to it. I'm not getting like pumpkin pie crust vibes or anything super confectionery. It's more like, hey, this is a base English beer, and we just so happen to throw some spices on top and brew it with pumpkin. And I appreciate that. I will say right now, this is not amazing to me or anything, but I think I appreciate the simplicity of this one, but also the drinkability. The taste, forefront, biscuity, bready, a little bit of like a brown sugar, caramelized sugar vibe. Passes through the palate. Midway through, I get like a orchard fruit, which again, kind of more akin to that English style, like a red apple, something in that realm. Midway through the palate is where the spices hit. And to me, it's definitely ginger. Not saying they brew with ginger. That's what I'm picking up on. It's a ginger, like a candied ginger, more so than anything. Candied ginger, a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg. There could be some allspice in here. I'm not getting as much clove as I was getting in the nose, but it could also be in here as well. And it finishes with this spicy kind of generic earthiness, probably the pumpkin, maybe just the beer itself. A little bit of, because, you know, again, English ales can be very earthy. Doesn't have that like metallic copper coin thing I sometimes get with like ESBs and bitters. But it has like this, I'd say more of like an earthy, slightly like floral aspect to it. I was going to say grassy. I think it's more floral. Finishes bone dry. I shouldn't say bone dry. It finishes full on dry, but it's not bone dry, but it's very dry. Mild bitterness. I think that spices are kind of ramping up the dryness to make me think like it's super dry, but it's nice. It's dry. It's balanced stuff. What I like about this is not super sweet. A lot of pumpkin ales, pumpkin beers can be super sweet. This is not super sweet. Is this the best pumpkin beer I had? No. Is it a bad pumpkin beer? It is not. I've had some really bad pumpkin beers. ones that are spiced beyond belief. It's almost like you're just drinking like a cinnamon bomb of some sort, or like there's one beer where it was just ginger and that's all I could taste and nothing else. I think it was an Ithaca beer. This one though, again, it's very subtle. The spices are there, but more subdued. It's not over the top with like confectionery sweetness. I'm not getting graham cracker and vanilla and this and that. This is almost like, again, they took an English style base, they brewed it with pumpkin to kind of maybe turn up the body a little bit, maybe give it a little bit of that earthy feel, and then they gently spiced it, and that's what you're getting. I think this would be a good pumpkin beer for somebody who is just getting into pumpkin beers, or, hear me out, this could be, probably not, but for somebody who likes like Narragansett Lager, which is, you know, a regional, it's basically a regional macro-esque lager, right? If you wanted to try something outside of your comfort zone, if you were a Narragansett Lager lover, this would be the beer to try out for a pumpkin beer. I don't think it's going to break anyone's palate. I don't see how you would like absolutely hate this beer. Again, it's not over the top in any way. It's subtle in a lot of respects, and it just has more of like a lower ABV kind of English ale vibe to it, and I'm cool with that. So I'm going to give them brownie points for a couple of reasons. One, it's Narragansett. They released a pumpkin ale. And number two, I think this is a nice, approachable, kind of sessionable pumpkin ale that is a good introductory beer for people wanting to try a pumpkin ale and not being overwhelmed by any of the ingredients. Like, that's where I would land this one. So I think as an overall rating, I'm going to give Narragansett's Gourd Reaper, the 2024 release, I'm going to give this a low 4 out of 5 and go 3.9. I think that's a fair score. Again, I'm taking into consideration everything here and trying to look at it from the aspect of Narragansett, what they're trying to do with this beer. I don't know, I could be completely off base. It's the beer patrol, I usually am, but I think this is, again, a nice beer where, like, let's say you're at their brewery and you're looking for different beers to try, but you're also somebody who just sticks to, you know, like 1 or 2 beers and they're like macro lagers or maybe like something that's super simple. I don't think you would be turned off by this. I really don't, but who knows, maybe you would. Also, 6.2%. I can't tell, like, this drinks from the flavor aspect, body, mouthfeel, everything, like it's like 5.5. So they've hit it relatively well. You can take down a 4-pack of this and be in the fucking dirt. Price point availability, I paid $4.99 for a can of that on Halftime Beverage. Now, keep in mind, Halftime Beverage is a little bit more expensive, okay? I did get free shipping, though, because I got 20 beers, so that's cool. But I looked online, and there's a bunch of places selling this anywhere between 10 to 12 bucks for a 4-pack of it. I believe it was a 4-pack. Could be 6-packs, but I think it's a 4-pack. That 10 to 12 bucks for a 4-pack, that's a great deal. I paid $5 for a single can. Would I buy it again at $5? I would not. Would I buy it again at, you know, $2.50 to $3 a can? I might, maybe down the line. I would certainly recommend this to somebody who, again, wants to try a pumpkin ale, but doesn't want to be bombarded by flavors that you're not familiar with or you don't necessarily love, or, you know, you have to acclimate your palate to certain styles. Like, if you try enough beers in a style, you're finally going to find one that you enjoy. This would be a nice one to start off with, to see, like, what the style is all about, but not being just punched in the face with all kinds of different complexities that you're not ready for. That's where I would leave this one. Availability, I have no idea with Narragansett. I've never seen this locally here in the Buffalo, New York area. I didn't know this existed. Now, I do know Narragansett does brew their lager, I think maybe Fresh Catch and a couple other beers at the Genesee Brewing Company located, the brewery in Rochester, New York. This one, however, this was straight from the brewery, because I think on the cans of like the Narragansett lager they're brewed at Genesee, it says on there Providence, Rhode Island, and Rochester, New York. This one just says Providence, Rhode Island, so it has to be from the Narragansett brewery itself in Providence. But yeah, if put it this way, if you've had this one before, you knew it existed, post in the comment section, let me know what you think about it. Would you try this one? Let's say you're not a pumpkin beer fan. Would you try this one? Does it sound subtle enough to you where you would give it a go if you're not a pumpkin beer lover like myself? Because I think it is. I think it's a very nice, well-constructed, put-together pumpkin beer. This is way longer than it needs to be, this review, but I kind of want to get the point across that this is an approachable pumpkin ale. And a lot of times you don't see that in the pumpkin beer world. You just don't. So kudos to Narragansett for brewing an approachable beer that still has some nice flavors, but still tastes like a beer and not like just a pumpkin spice piece of shit like a lot of pumpkin beers, let's be honest. Anyway, I'm shutting this one down. That was day 1. Come back for day 2 tomorrow. It's a West New York Wednesday from the Ellicottville Brewing Company. We have their barrel-aged, or iron smoke barrel-aged stout. It's big, it's a 6.5 stout with coffee, pumpkin spices that's been aged in barrels for 6+ months. It sounds wild, 6.5%. I don't know if it's going to hold up. I guess we'll see. So, like most of you say when you see the Beer Patrol channel in general, but when it comes to the beer reviews, you usually see this. especially when it comes to pumpkin beers. The fuck is, what does it say? The fuck is this shit? It's the Beer Patrol, baby. To the next one. Cheers. Not cheers. Well, double cheers. I cannot stress enough how this is not sweet. This is not a sweet pumpkin beer. So if you're, again, somebody who doesn't like pumpkin beers because they're super sweet, seek this one out. Double cheers. The fuck is this shit? Double cheers.